I don't know what. So I was very thrilled to find devotees were here in Australia. And then when in 2 weeks I was in the temple, mostly because of Upendra's cooking.
Wow.
But
He was that
yeah,
good of a cook?
sorry.
He was that good of a cook?
Well, he was a Prabhupada's cook. He cooked for Prabhupada
Wow.
in San Francisco.
He must have been trained up by Prabhupada then, directly.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Although he told me one time I burnt the eggplant and I didn't want to give it to Prabhupada, but there was nothing else, so I offered it to him. And then after a few minutes, he rang the bell because he had a bell on his desk, and he thought, "Oh no, I'm going to get the sauce." And he walked in, and Prabhupada looked at him and said, "Actually, if you burn the vegetable just slightly, it brings out more flavor." So he said that was a good subject. But yeah, I was there when Madhavisa came. Um, it was just either at the end of 71 or the beginning of 72, because he organized the first Rath Yatra in Melbourne. And we had a beautiful Rath Yatra. We had a devotee Domya who married a gigantic deity of Lord Caitanya. And Madhavisa loved dramas. He loved organizing dramas. That was his, besides being the kirtan leader, he just loved dramas. So he would organize dramas, and he did one for the Rath Yatra. And we had a really beautiful, beautiful hall. So it was always enthusiastic, and the Rath Yatra just really went well, even though we didn't get any permits at all. So we had the city council just fuming, why you guys are doing this fire yagna and this and that, right opposite the town hall. But anyway, everything was finally completed. The Rath Yatra was a success. Um, and then Prabhupada gave a talk. We arranged it at the town hall. And I remember the date, it was April 7th, 1972. And that was another astounding success. So yeah, a lot of credit goes to Madhavisa. Prabhupada said he was a king of Sankirtan, and he was the best sannyasi. And he was pushing book distribution all the time. He called Buddhi Manta to come from America, and Buddhi Manta enlivened, everybody. We had one devotee, Gopinath Acharya, who couldn't distribute a book to anyone. And then he met Buddhi Manta, and then he became like I don't want to say terror, but he was just all over the street with everybody. He didn't want any person to go without a book.
Wow.
So he became like completely transformed by Buddhi Manta's association. But yeah, we used to love going with Madhavisa. Myself, I used to play the guitar, and we had another devotee, Dwaipiana, who was also a guitar player. So we'd have Sankirtan with guitars and mridrangas and cartels, and it was the hit of every weekend in Melbourne. There's so many people on the street. But those are great days. And I'm also offering my obeisances to Madhavisa Swami for all his input and organization. And I'm praying that he is serving Prabhupada now with more enthusiasm.
What was the first time that you met Srila Prabhupada?
He came in June 1971 to Sydney. At that time, we had Chiru and Bhai Bobby, his wife. And Chiru was the temple president in a place called Paddington. And Bhai Bobby had painted this beautiful mural on the window. And the temple was right at the bus stop. And they had these double-decker buses. So the double-decker bus would stop right outside the temple, and they'd see this mural, in Hare Krishna temple. And we had so many visitors just because of that.
Is this you, Maharaj, on the guitar?
What do you mean? You have a picture?
Can you see it on the screen?
No,
Can
I
anyone-
don't. I don't see anything.
Can anyone see this picture?
No.
No? I'll see if I can copy it. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue.
Yeah, so we had a large input of devotees, and Prabhupada came, there was about maybe 30 devotees. So Prabhupada initiated everyone, no questions asked. He
Wow.
came in, he did a fire sacrifice, he initiated. We had a lot of problems organizing Brahmin threads because he gave second initiation as well, but we somehow got it together. And then it was morning walks, Prabhupada would go in the park and walk, 60 miles an hour through the park. We struggled to keep up with him, but he would entertain questions. And it was a thrill at every moment. And Charu had organized, the programs at different school. He went to the Sydney Boys School and a few other venues. And then the next year was 72, and then Prabhupada visited not Sydney and Melbourne. We had started Melbourne at that time. But Pendra had gone, so yeah.
Did Prabhupada speak to you personally?
Yeah, of course. I asked so many questions on the morning walk. I was in the kitchen a lot of the time, so I would prepare things for him to take just when he finished the class, like fried cashews and ghee with a little salt. He loved that. And then he was also in Fiji because I left for Fiji in 75. So it was a little more intimate in Fiji because there was fewer devotees. So when Prabhupada came there was more chance of talking to him and associating more directly.
What year was that?
That was in 75 when I first met Prabhupada in Fiji. And that's when I asked him if Kalia the serpent was there or
Right.
not, because all the people. I said, Prabhupada, is Kalia Nag living in this island, Fiji? Because the Hindus say this is Ramanik Dweep. And in the Shastras, it says Krishna told Kalia to leave the Jamuna, and Kalia went to Ramanik Dweep. So Fiji is called Ramanik Dweep by all the Hindus there. So the natives, the native Fijians who look like Sai Baba, with the hairdo and everything, they said, yeah, there's a big snake here. And they gave it a Fijian name, and he lives in this mountain called Nakavendra. So, we decided, well, we'll climb the mountain and we'll see if Kali is there. And when we went there, it was a long hike up this mountain, and then we couldn't see any sign of Kalia. So when we came down, one Brahmin Hindu said, oh, that snake Kalia is no longer there. There was a hurricane, and the hurricane closed the cave to the entrance, and he's gone somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, so that same next morning, when I came to the temple in Latoka, I walked into town, and there was a Fijian in the back of this store, and some of the Fijians, they speak Hindi. So he said in English, he said, are you a devotee of Krishna? I said, yeah, I think so. He said, well, you can see Kalia. I said,
What?
yeah, I'm hoping to see Kalia. How did you know I was looking for him? He said, oh, I know. So he said, he's living in my island off the coast of Fiji. There's an island. I live there, and a Kalia snake is living there underground in a cave. I said, really? He said, yeah, you come in the dock at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and I'll take you to see the snake Kalia.
What?
So I got really excited. And the next morning at 6 o'clock, I went to the dock to meet the Fijian and go to have a darshan of Kalia. But as I was waiting and waiting, he never showed up, so I never got to go.
Oh.
But anyway, I don't think he's there now, but there was definitely a lot of people vowing that Kalia was living in Fiji. And
That's
Prabhupada, when I asked him, he seemed to say yes. He said, "Are there any poisonous creatures here on Fiji?" I said, "Only the mosquitoes, Prabhupada, nothing else. There's no snakes." And he moved his head and it seemed like, yeah, he's here.
huh. And so it was Prabhupada's idea to establish the Krishna Kaliya Murti to worship there in Fiji. It was Prabhupada's idea.
Yeah, of course. And they had an installation. We had an installation. Prabhupada wasn't there for the installation. Yasudanandana was there doing the installation with a few people from Australia, New Zealand. It was a big installation, and for at least a month or two after that, we had a packed temple, every night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That deity was made in India.
I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
I thought so.
Uh-huh.
It was Kalia and the Nagapatis, and then we had Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda, and Gauranitai.
How long did you preach in Fiji for? Kavi Chandraswami told me that you and him traveled around preaching together.
Yeah, it was my favorite spot. So I stayed there maybe 5 years on and off.
Wow.
And then after Prabhupada departed, then I came back to Australia for a short time. And then I decided to leave Australia once and for all. And then I went to Africa to join Brahmananda Swami.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
You've had a very adventurous life.
it's still going on. We're here in Detroit opening up a new temple, new center.
Cool. You said
Yeah.
some devotee had a mansion there.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big house. It's not exactly a mansion.
Okay.
It's an old house, so we're trying to put the plumbing all together so it's working.
Yeah.
And we got some devotees here, who are construction people. So it's going on.
Detroit needs some mercy.
Yeah. They have it already.
Well, this is this is a famous city for music, so
Motown,
yeah.
Yes.
where it all began.
Yeah. Well, where are you? Are you in Toronto?
3 hours from you. I'm just
So-
north of Toronto. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna invite you. We're gonna try to install the deities on the 14th,
Oh, no.
which is Akshaya Tritiya. So you're welcome to come
I'd
to
love to
the.
come with Jivan Mukta. He's just an hour from me, but us Canadians can't come across the border yet. They won't let us.
Mm.
Just take a boat across the lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll pick you up. Just do it at midnight when nobody's looking.
If Jivan Mukta can extricate himself, he's a very busy man. He's expanding every moment. He's expanding.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll save a seat for you and Jivan Mukta.
No, but even if Jivan Mukta can't come, I'll come. I'd like him to come though. I'd like to go with him. Do you know of any boats going across Jivan Mukta?
Nothing is coming.
We have 2 boats here. We'll just sail them across and pick you up at a designated place.
Sounds like fun. Enter into your adventure, Shalila Maharaj. Are you gonna,
We gotta
huh?
want to stir up the rasa, Sankirtan ras.
You planning on doing some Harinam in Detroit?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We haven't done anything yet, but it's in the schedule. It's just a matter of getting this place fixed up first.
Right.
before we can invite anybody here.
I don't think that Siddhanta Prabhu has interviewed you for Prabhupada's memories yet, has he?
No,
No. So when he does an interview, he has two criteria. One is, was there any specific instructions that Prabhupada gave you? And secondly, he asks, are there any particular qualities that you observed in Prabhupada? The 26
yeah.
qualities.
Prabhupada gave me the first instruction he gave me was to cook more Simply Wonderfuls, to make more Simply Wonderfuls. He loved them.
He liked to eat them too, or he liked to distribute them?
Oh, he ate them and distributed them, but we made about probably 500 every day and took them downtown in Hainam.
What? 500 a day?
Yeah, because the devotees would eat half of them, and then the rest.
I've heard of stories like that where devotees were carrying halava in the back of a van. I can't remember what story it was, but by the time they got to the program, they'd finished off most of the halava.
Well, the Australian ghee and the Australian powdered milk is the best in the world.
Wow.
And the prasadam was just amazing. We had so much ghee in the temple, so much powdered milk and icing sugar. And the Australian, we put walnuts in, and we also put, they have a special raisin there in Australia. Australia just has a great stock of good food. And the beaches are so clean compared to like Los Angeles, where it's all dirty and polluted.
Pristine.
Yeah,
So that's the first instruction is
I loved it there.
you're not making enough Simply Wonderfuls. You need to make more.
Well, he said, very good. You can make more. So I made them. I made every day.
Wow.
I was addicted to them. There's a lot of devotees who were just addicted to prasadam. We couldn't stop eating the simplies. You had to force yourself to stop eating. I don't know what it was. In those days, we weren't afraid of white sugar,
Right.
like we are now.
Yeah.
There wasn't any brown sugar. There wasn't any organic sugar. There was, just white sugar.
Right.
Yeah, you probably know too.
Yes. We'd have powdered confectionery.
Yeah, speaking of Kavichandra, when we're in Fiji, he's, half delirious on the sweet balls, and he's trying to pour the sweet ball juice down my throat, and I'm injecting,
You two are really close, or are close. Yeah.
What Kavichandra did, he told me, we're going to do Harinam right after prasadam in the morning, and we're going to stop like 6 hours later, and then come into the temple, take our bath, and have prasadam. So we would leave the temple at 9 o'clock, about half a dozen of us, and we would just chant, through the villages, house to house.
Fiji.
And we wouldn't stop.
Fiji,
yeah. And we would go, the people would welcome us. We'd go into the house, we'd keep chanting. Donations of money or fruit or vegetables, we take it. And then when we came back to the temple, Kavichandra made the remark that whenever we stopped chanting, I just feel like I'm in Maya. It was very fun.
Wow. Very intense.
So it was a great program. Yeah.
Once you enter into the Krishna zone, you don't want to leave.
Yeah, and the Harinam is Krishna, non-different. So when you're chanting and chanting, especially with a lot of people, I know we had a Harinam in Houston one year. It was about 300 people chanting, and everybody got excited, and nobody wanted to stop chanting. And it was so blissful. I'll never forget it.
I did a rainbow
We're
gathering.
crossing the main intersection.
So sorry, go on. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I did a
No,
rainbow
no.
gathering.
No, you go ahead.
I've done a few, but anyway, I remember one down in southern Quebec, and there was a devotee there. He called himself Turkey Feather or something. We called him Garuda. Kirtanananda disciple. I don't know if you knew him, Jivan Mukta, Garuda Das. Anyway, I think he brought a harmonium. Anyway, I started doing kirtan, and then guitar players started arriving, banjo players, and I was pumping and I was chanting, and the more I chanted, the more people joined us. And at a certain point, I was pumping the harmonium so much, my fingers started bleeding. But the people didn't want me to stop. They just I kind of felt like I was in the mood of Jesus, because my hands were bleeding all over the harmonium. And I didn't want to stop because the people were just nuts for the Maha Mantra. I don't think they were stoned. I mean, maybe a few, but they were like intoxicated. I'd never
The
experienced
Rainbow Gathering. Also.
what?
I said the rainbow gatherings are all stoned.
Yeah, a lot of people. I did one in Vermont with Mitra Prabhu, Mitra Sain, and Adikarta came, and we had a lineup about a half a kilometer long with people with their coconut shells waiting to get khichdi. We ran out of sunflower oil to cook the halava. We had to use olive oil to make the halava, which isn't really the most delectable, but people didn't care. They just loved the halava. They ate it cooked in olive oil. Yeah, very receptive. A lot of people were asking for Radhanath Swami. They were saying, is the Rainbow Swami here? Is the Rainbow Swami? They called Radhanath Swami the Rainbow Swami. What was another one of
So how long do you go on?
Oh, well, now that we got you here, we don't want to stop. I don't want to hog all the
We'll come
time.
back on Friday.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to say to Maharaj? I know Nitya Radha, one of her favorite questions is, how will we implement Varnashram Dharma? Is that correct, Nitya Radha? Nitya Radha is here from Pakistan. Rajendra Nandana Prabhu is here from San Diego. Sarvani is here from Capistrano. Is that what it's called? Laguna Beach. And Tom is from Chicago. And Ragabhumi is from Brazil. So Nitya Radha, your concern is, how will we implement Varnashram? Is that correct?
Yeah, in modern era.
In modern times, what's your insight on that, Maharaj?
We're doing it in Texas. We have a dozen cows. We have 2 greenhouses. We have a geothermal greenhouse, which is half finished. I know we shouldn't rely on machines, but we have a machine that will turn the earth into bricks. And we have a lot of interest in what's called aircrete. And I was just at New Vrindavan.
What's it called?
Aircrete.
Aircrete. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a devotee in New Vrindavan now. His name is Giri. And he's just expert in designing this aircrete fusion of the cement with soap. So it's like a big light brick with a little cement, a little soap, and there's another devotee here, Trilokanath, who also knows how to make it.
Best insulating material out there.
He says it's the best insulating material going.
Uh-huh.
So you can make your house with thick insulating material, and you can make it in Toronto and not have to worry about the cold wind or the cold air.
Huh.
Waterproof, fireproof.
It's waterproof, fireproof. So it's called Aircrete, and on YouTube you'll see many videos about it. So we're trying to use that for building and housing, and make everything organic, no chemicals, no fertilizers, just natural cow dung and dirt, compost from the vegetables, everything.
I've often
Um,
thought Yes, go
Yeah.
on, Marsh, sorry.
So right now, we're relying on the factory. We have a factory called Gopal's. So the factory gives every month $15,000 or $20,000 just for maintaining the program. So without that factory, I don't know how we would keep doing it because
$20,000 from making these bricks?
no, for the equipment like tractors
Oh,
and
okay, sorry.
buying the wood and other stuff. But whatever you can do, you just have to do. But anybody who wants cows, we'll be having more and more cows, and if they want and they need one, they can write us. They're Indian cows, gyr cattle,
Wow,
very sweet. Yeah,
that's Texas.
A2. Yes, A2 milk. It's the best milk. It's got gold in it, some people say.
Wow. Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I've often thought,
So,
yes, go on.
no, go ahead. You have a
I
question?
was going to say that one of the, I took a 4-season permaculture design course over a period of 7 months, just to try to get some understanding of what Prabhupada meant by sustainability. I studied under a teacher by the name of Shantri Kusera, and his permaculture teacher's name was Starhawk from down in New Mexico, I think. But in the course of learning something about permaculture, I came across what's called societal permaculture. And there's what's called, because Tom Mollison, who seems to be kind of like one of the pioneers of modern day permaculture, he had a student by the name of David Holmgren. And David Holmgren discusses societal permaculture. And societal permaculture is compared to like a flower, and each petal of the flower represents a different aspect of society. Like one petal would represent the children, another petal would be the mothers, another petal would be, basically the varnas, those who are doctors, teachers, administrators, farmers, laborers. But the elders are also considered to be an important leaf because they have a contribution to make, just like there's so many Prabhupada disciples today, but I've amassed 878 of them in our Prabhupada disciple group, but I'm not their spokesman, but I have a feeling that a lot of us, like, we don't really know where we fit in anymore in modern day ISKCON. Do you know what I'm saying? Where I'm going with all of this is that I think in order to establish Varnashram, we need to work on sustainable relationships. And in order to have sustainable relationships, we need to be able to listen and have empathy for one another. Does that make sense?
Sure does. Yeah. I know. I always say we're teaching two things: permaculture and permaculture.
Yes.
Love for the environment and love for the devotees.
One another.
Love for Krishna.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna have to beg your pardon.
Yeah.
But I'll come back again another day.
Friday
It was
we can.
nice to see you.
I'm sorry, everyone. We didn't read a lot. We didn't read a lot from Lord Chaitanya's teachings, but it was just Krishna sent so many wonderful devotees this evening. So I'm so grateful for everyone coming together tonight. I hope everyone found it to be enlivening. Jivan Mukta, do you have any Hare Krishna Prabhu? He's got a familiar looking face.
Maharaj Prabhu,
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for sharing.